Hello people, how yous all doing today? Thought I'd make a wee concise video. Will it be concise? Maybe not, I'm probably going to ramble. But this is kind of a follow-on video from my last two videos about Jews and about DNA. And Validation Boy made a live stream last night, so I thought I would kind of interject my opinion into his thinking. And this is a topic I've been researching for maybe 7-8 years, probably. I started making videos on it about 4 or 5 years ago, but I've been researching it for a long time. And I see a lot of the symbolism, like the lost tribes. This is where we're going, guys. The lost tribes of Israel, and the way. And when you talk about the lost tribes of Israel, you talk about the chosen people, God's people. And Validation Boy was trying to make a point about the Cain and Abel story, and the Red Adam, and a lot of that is relevant, but I don't think it's relevant to who is in power today. And this is why I kind of got into the whole tribes of Israel, the lost tribes, the chosen people, because I started thinking, well, wait a minute, the Queen thinks she's part of this bloodline, and she's sitting on that throne because she must be the biggest Zionist on the planet that isn't Jewish, because she sits on that throne and she thinks she can rule us through divine right. Divine right. If she didn't believe that, she just step down. Have some dignity and say, God, it's the year 2020, let's step down and not rule people because God said so. So obviously these people think they are connected to some sacred bloodline. And the same goes with Trump. You can look at Trump's DNA, it's practically similar to the Queen's. There's a lot of Celtic blood in it. And there's a lot of German blood. Celtic and German. Both the Queen, both Trump. Two of the most powerful people on the planet right now. And they're not Jewish. They're not Jewish. But they are Zionists. Listen to the way Trump talks about Israel and how he's renamed the capital. And the Queen, you just need to go through her bloodline, the history, how they think they're the line of King David. So these people are known not to be Jewish, but they're the most powerful people on the planet right now. So this is where I realised that it says in the Bible that the chosen people will be on the four corners of the world, controlling the world. And look at the British Empire. It wasn't a Jewish empire, it was a British empire. The British Empire controlled the four corners of the world. And it says that in the Bible, that the people, the chosen people, will control the four corners of the world. And look at Australia, America, South Africa, New Zealand, India. It doesn't matter where you go, you'll find a European control it. Look at Antarctica. Look at Antarctica, the North Pole, all Europeans. So we're already fulfilling that part of the Bible, that the chosen people will be found in the four corners. And this is where we're going here. The Europeans are the chosen people. It's a European book, the Bible. I've got no doubt in my mind that's a European book. I go even as far to say it's a British book. It's based on the western side of Europe, and Ireland and Britain. So I'll go back, I think it was Isaiah. I think it was a passage in Isaiah. It says they'll be found in the four corners. So there we go, there's the British Empire. They're already fulfilling it. Oh my God, they uprooted people just to fulfill this prophecy. I would even go as far to say they created the famine in Ireland because the whole of Europe was going through a famine through the blight potato. Why was it only the Irish? And do you think Irish only ate potatoes? Now this was a way to move them. They weren't jumping on a boat for a 6-month journey over to America or Australia or wherever it is. There's a good chance they would have died. So these people didn't want to move. So how do you move them? You cause distress, chaos, death, destruction to the land. Then they want to move. And it was the same with the Scots, the Highland clearances. If you've ever heard of that, people. They cleared thousands of Scots and replaced them with sheep. They found more value in sheep than Scots and they sent them abroad, different places in the world. And that's what, it's almost like that. It feels like that it was deliberate, just to fulfill prophecy. So there you go, there's Isaiah saying four corners of the world. This is what points me to Britain. And then another one, it says in Isaiah that the promised land and the chosen people will be found at the Isles. The Isles. I-S-L-E-S. The Isles. So there you go, they're like Britain and Ireland are the Isles. And even the Greeks talked about Britain as being land of the gods. And this is what I believe, people. I believe Christianity, you just need to look at all the clues in the Bible. Look at all the clues around you here in Britain. Look at England's national anthem. It's fair enough, God Save the Queen, but they've got another one, and it's almost like their national anthem. It isn't, but it's almost like it. It's called Jerusalem. And it's all about the new covenant. The new covenant is in Britain. Britain is the Holy Land. Jerusalem, Israel, that's just a decoy. Obviously. They can fight over that. Obviously that's the problem. Is that look at them. Give them a decoy and they're fighting over it. All these people are fighting over it. While we really sit in the promised land of peace, quiet, harmony. You've seen my videos, people. This is paradise, this place, compared to the Middle East. That's not the promised land. There's a dust bowl. Nothing in it. This is the land of plenty. And we've been infiltrated in this land of plenty by a certain tribe. And it goes back to what Validation Boy was talking about yesterday. He was talking about Cain and Abel, the seed of Cain. And I don't think it's that, people. I don't think it's those two sets of brothers, Cain and Abel. Everybody knows the Cain and Abel story. And most cultures begin with a sort of story like that. Look at Rome. It was, who was it? Romulus and Remus or something. And they were birthed by a she-wolf. But I want to talk about Isaac. Isaac, who was Abraham's son. And he had two sons. One was Jacob, one was Esau. And the story goes that Esau was born first, so he had the birthright. He was the chosen. But he gave it up for a bowl of stew. He didn't find any value in the birthright because he was out hunting. Because Esau was a hunter-gatherer, while Jacob was a farmer. So Esau was out hunting all day. Couldn't catch anything. He came back to the camp, the homestead, the farmstead. And he said to Jacob, "Oh, could I have some stew?" And Jacob went, "Sure, but give me your birthright." And Esau went, "Oh, stuff my birthright, just give me the stew." And Jacob got blessed by Isaac when Isaac was half blind. Isaac thought it was Esau he was blessing, but it was Jacob. So Jacob became the chosen, and he had his kids. That's the 12 tribes of Jacob, and there's so many things that link Jacob to Britain and Scotland. Look at the Union Jack, the United Tribes of Jacob. Look at the Jacobite rising, Jacob. People say it's for James. Jacobite was for James. No, I think the Jacobites thought that the Stuarts were part of this tribe, and they seen this German entity because the British throne was starting to pass around the whole of Europe, where the Stuarts, they want to keep it within. So I think a lot of that fighting, the Jacobite rising, was over Jacob. They seen their side as the Jacobs. In the Stuart dynasty, I think they think they're from that line, the same line. And I think Diana, she was a Windsor. They managed to get a wee bitty Stuart back in there, because I think you can trace Diana's line to the Stuarts. But right now, we've got an imposter in the throne, the Queen. We're Hanoverian, and this is where the story goes back to Jacob and Esau, two brothers. And one side, Jacob, I think, was the Celtic, the Gaels, the Gauls. And the other side was the Germans, who turned into Slavs and Norwegians and Vikings. So you got these two group of people, and the Celts. The Celts, they dominated most of Europe before Rome started taking over. They had obviously Britain, like France. They had France, they had Belgium, they had Spain, they had Portugal, they had parts of Turkey. If you go right through, there had so many, and these are all tribes. Even Denmark, the Dan, tribe of Dan, there's clues that Denmark were the tribe of Dan. But there's certain tribes that gave up the birthright. And I think the Germans, I think this is where, if you look at the Brit-Am movement, it's called Brit-Am. It's a Jewish guy, he's in Tel Aviv somewhere, or Bethlehem, sitting, and he's Jewish, and he's saying that the Brits are the chosen people from the Bible, from what he's put his life into it. Brit-Am, Britam. Check that guy out. He's got so much evidence. And this is what makes me think it's a British book. It's Celtic. And it's been taken over. It's been taken over by Catholicism, the Pope. And this is where we go back to the tribes. There were brothers. You had Jacob, who branched out to be the Gauls, the Gaels, the Iberians, all those people. Then you had the Germans, and they turned into Slavs, Vikings, Norwegians. But they're brothers, they were related, they're very alike. And one day they'll unite. But I'm afraid to say the red is Esau. And I think the tribes, the Edomites, were from that German side, who turned into Slavs, Poles, Vikings, stuff like that, where the other side, the Jacob side, turned into Celts. And there's been this battle between the two brothers, and there's been prophecy trying to be fulfilled. And right now, when you look around you, whether you're religious or not, there's a lot of prophecy being forced to be fulfilled. And it's crazy. You don't have to be religious to see it. And this is where I am with it all. And that was me trying to be concise. If you go and check out some of my videos, I'm going to make a playlist and just put them all in. But I've been hinting at this for a while, guys. And we've been kind of infiltrated by imposters down Buckingham Palace, Germans, and so have the Americans with our Trumps. And even if you go back through all the presidents, there's always been a Scottish-Irish connection. Always. Even Obama, he's a black guy. Anyway, guys, I hope VB keeps going at this, keeps looking at it, because there's something to it, and I think there's something there that's going to explain what's going on right now in the world. Anyway, guys, take it easy. I'll see you all later. Cheers.